What is a secret that could get you in serious trouble if it came out? This honeypot was a success. You're all under arrest, especially the guy who doesn't like his mother-in-law's cooking, the rat bastard son of a bitch. I used to work in a call center for my country's tax agency dealing primarily with benefits. The government here gives regular payments to people under a certain income threshold which isn't that low, and so a good chunk of the population here gets those payments. A frequent type of call we would get at the call center was asking about why they didn't get the couple $100 the caller was expecting to receive as usual. One day I answered a call from a lady who didn't get her expected payment. We would get all sorts of callers, and you get a pretty good sense of when people were being legitimate and when they were telling you a sob story to play on your emotions. This lady called in about the missing payment, and was clearly trying to hide the fact that she was severely devastated about not receiving the payment. It turned out that it was her daughter's birthday the following day, and she was planning on using that money to get her birthday gift which she now had no means of buying. I noticed when she called that she lived in the same city as me, maybe about a 10-minute drive away. The database we have access to is the government central taxpayer database, and it has a fuckton of info on every single taxpayer in the country. Access to any account and any bit of information on an account is highly monitored, and anything you access is strictly and demonstrably need to know access only. Even the slightest violation is an insta-fired offense, and depending on what was accessed, your termination can be accompanied with criminal charges. Needless to say, recording any bit of information and bringing it out of the office is a big no-no. But when she called, I really felt for her. It wasn't a catastrophic situation like the calls sometimes are, but there are also a lot of callers who are clearly trying to guilt you into getting something. And she was clearly beside herself, and actively trying to minimize and hide just how devastated she was that she as a single mother wasn't going to be able to get her preteen daughter a birthday present. After looking into the situation, there was nothing I could do to get her the missing payment. And she lived barely 10 minutes from my place, so I decided to say fuck it, I'm doing a good deed today, and memorized her street address. After work that day I went to her house, and knocked on the door. She answered, and I told her that I was walking down the street and saw a $100 bill on her lawn as I pulled it out of my pocket and asked if she had lost it. She burst into tears, and through happy sobs she told me that I had no idea about the day she's had and how timely this was. She did not refuse the bill when I gave it to her, and then gave her some cheesy line about how the universe is a mysterious place. So I mean, technically, was this a gross abuse of our country's taxpayer database? Absolutely. Did I feel bad about it? Not in the least, lol. The first month I had my license, I hit the side mirror off of someone's car while driving down a narrow street. Nobody was around to see it, and I knew my parents would freak out and be even more strict than they already were, so I panicked and kept driving. I have spent 20 years feeling guilty about this. One time when I was in a restaurant, I overheard a random couple talking about how someone had done the same to her car. I anonymously picked up their tab. Didn't really make up for my mistake, but at least made me feel a tiny bit better about what I did when I was an idiot 16-year-old. I flooded the hotel on a field trip for school as I turned on all the taps in the men's bathroom and didn't understand why they weren't working. I'd found out later there was a 10-minute cutoff of water supply during that time, but forgot to turn off the taps after turning them all. Coincidentally, a few of the taps had plugs in them that I hadn't noticed at the time. This caused 2 floors to suffer a lot of water damage, including the girls' dorm, which would cost a lot to fix. I guess this is why public places moved to push taps rather than manual. Only one person knew I'd entered that bathroom during the time period, and he kept quiet as the teacher grilled everyone. I refused to say anything as I didn't want my family to get fined and also didn't want to be ridiculed, so to this day 15 years later I've not told a soul. Except Reddit now, lol. I take care of an older lady through a home health company that is very not there for the clients. I called my office and they said they would make a note of it. A fucking note. This lady was extremely sick one day and I drove her to urgent care. She's not allowed in my car, and technically I should have called 911, but she lives extremely far from any hospital. It would have been at least 90 minutes before anyone actually showed up. So I took her. The following week she wasn't doing any better and she fell 5 times in a couple of hours. I contacted my office to let them know again. Same response. So I packed her an overnight bag, took her dog, 13-year-old Chihuahua who gets along with my 13-year-old Chihuahua, to my apartment, and we went to urgent care with me in the room with her so I could advocate for her. Once urgent care was done, they didn't do crap this time and she refused the ER, but she wasn't as dizzy. She stayed the night at my apartment for a couple of days so I could actually make sure she was okay. Her family is shit. The company is shit. And no one trusts the ER or hospital here. The nurse in me couldn't just let her go home when she was falling so much. I broke a lot of rules and I'm aware it was extremely unprofessional of me. However, I am happy she is better and that she was 5 minutes away from the hospital if she needed to go versus the 90-minute minimum wait at her home. I feel shitty for reacting the way I did, but I don't feel shitty knowing she was in a safe environment. I don't ever work. I work from home, but I spend less than an hour a day working. I have to assume everyone else does the same because my output is on par lamau. Edit. To all interested in the job, it is horrible. We are looking for a senior Angular dev to work on the worst app I've ever seen run. It's a horrible job when you actually need to produce results but you can't even get the environment to run. On top of all this, the CEO made the app and is very proud of it, so you can't point out how horrendous it is. I'm getting a new job on Monday anyways. I hate my father-in-law. I have absolutely no love for him. So does my wife. Technically it's her stepdad. Her mom can put it together that we all don't particularly like him. Everyone ignores him because he's such a narcissist. No one knows why she puts up with his shit. He's filthy rich, so like maybe that's why. But she has her own money too. He is leaving us, well, my wife, a lot of money, and our kids, in their will. I guess greed gets the best of us and we swallow our pride. But he's the epitome of an asshole. The only silver lining I have with putting up with him is that my boys are set up for success. I hate that he has this power over our family. But that's life, I guess. I do not really love my So anymore, and I think my So's interests, view of the world is taking a turn for the worse. So is somehow starting to get sucked into too many things that a normal sane person would dismiss outright, and it bothers me more and more. I have dropped out of college 1 year before getting the degree. If my dad and stepmom find out, I might get kicked out in the streets again. Yes, I'm still unable to move out, for fuck's sake. I work with a lot of dementia patients, and I wish to dear God you could just euthanize them. There is nothing more heartbreaking than watching their families desperately hold on to a person that is no longer there. They are just empty shells. They don't recognize anyone or anything. They don't remember getting hurt when they get hurt, so they become distressed very easily. I hate it. I hate it so freaking much and wish that we could just put them out to pasture. Backups at work, to my personal portable 2.5 inches HD. Don't do daily backups either, and we produce greater than 15K new files/day. So if we have a failure late in the week, that is a few days work to redo. What can you do when the owner won't update to fiber, when you're running 4xp, 5 Win 7 machines on your network and you work your brakes because of lack of resources? Not me, but a close friend that I happened to be with when it happened. He loved breaking into vending machines back in the mid-80s to steal drinks and change. He tried breaking into one at an all-Jewish school, I'm going to leave location out, and inadvertently caused the machine to catch fire. This was on a weekend and no one was around. Burnt down almost half the school and caused them to close the school for over a year and probably a lot of money. The news ran this hate crime for weeks, and let me tell you, we were sweating that it would get out we were there and he was responsible. Lucky for us, it's the mid-80s and no cameras like today. It was all over the news and in the newspaper. They just assumed some anti-Semitic organization had targeted the school. Nope, 2 fucking dumbass poor kids in hand-me-down clothes and bikes trying to get a fucking free Coke. I stole a car with a friend when we were 13. Went on a ride for 300 miles. Abandoned it, hitchhiked back. No one ever knew. Had a great time. In the 70s. Maybe not trouble, but a serious stress increase. I donated my eggs to a friend years before I had my daughter, and the result was a set of twins. My family doesn't know because they won't understand that these are not my kids/their grandkids/their niece/nephew. If they find out, everything will explode and they will probably harass my friend, wanting contact. So I am waiting till my parents die to tell my brother, since he can't keep his mouth shut. I never passed a driver's license test. When I went for my road test I failed it. Went to renew my learner's permit, and upon exiting the DMV I looked at it and saw that instead of them renewing my learner's they gave me an actual license. I went to the car and told my mom, and she told me to get my ass in the car and we left quickly. That was 30 years ago. I made $4,000 from $100 in a month from gambling in stocks. I proceeded to lose just about all of it shortly after. If my family knew that I was trading at that time and that I lost $4,000, I would never hear the end of it, especially since we're deep in poverty and need just about every cent we have. I'm personally not too bothered by it anymore, and I've chalked it up as a funny story and learning experience. When I was about 9 or 10, I intentionally let the tap running in the toilets. The water flowed out into the school hall and ruined the parquet flooring. I knew my wife was cheating on me for 2 years, but I have secretly gathered evidence with video, sound and text that proves she just married me in the hopes of me dying in combat, as well as wanting my money. And now I am just 2 months away from releasing it all in the divorce court. And if she knew about it, she could start working on a defense for it, because no one expect me Reddit and my best friend know. Thank you for watching Reddit Stories. If you guys want more of these type of videos, then feel free to like and subscribe. May you all have a blessed day.